Om Stavakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Stavakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Avatar Varisthaya Ramakrishna Yate Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to the Divine Spirit to remove all ignorance from us, to bestow us the light of knowledge, to remove all suffering from us, to distinguish between what is real and what is unreal, and to get rid of the disease of worldliness. Let us pray to Him to have the real peace in life. Today I am speaking on the message of Gita. Lord Krishna has given most valuable practical instructions to conduct our life in a useful way. The life is given to us so that we may get real peace and joy. The real peace is attained only when we get liberation. So we are here in this world to work for getting that liberation. We are all knowingly or unknowingly struggling to get peace and joy in this life. Now, simply to have the desire to, I should have peace of mind, I should be happy, simply that desire itself will not give you peace or joy. You have to find out the ways and means of getting into that kind of peace. So, Lord Krishna gives pointed instructions to us to practice them. We can get whatever we want. That is the beauty of this world. Everything is there. What you want, you will get. What you deserve, you get it. So, coming to the point, what is our real personality? Generally we think body, mind and intellect and ego, all this put together is our real personality. That's what we generally think. But behind this body, behind this mind, behind this intellect, behind this ego, there is something else which is non-changing, non-moving. Now, the moment we know that is our real personality, that all other things of the world are subject to change, they are subject to destruction and decay and destruction. We have to leave the realm of body, mind, intellect and ego and go to the witness, the perceiver within. What is the perceiver? What is the perceived? We need to know about it. Although the mind and the body function, behind this body and mind there is something that supplies the power to them. That is the real perceiver. Suppose something happens to my body or my mind. Immediately I think I am suffering, I am depressed. The idea I am sick, I am suffering, I am hurt, I am unhappy, all these are born out of our identification with the body and with the mind. When I am sick, I should inquire, who is sick? Am I sick? No, the body is sick. Because I am identifying so much with the body, I superimpose it on myself and say, I am sick, I am suffering. So the body is sick. We should analyze that way. Who is sick? Body is sick. Am I the body? No. The body is mine. I am that which is the life behind the body, the possessor of the body, the perceiver within the body. So thus, by thinking, by introspecting, we will have to trace it within ourselves. All actions we do are performed with the understanding that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. As long as this way of understanding remains, we are not going to come to a state where we can put a stop to these actions and attain liberation. When these three equipments, namely body, mind and intellect, are themselves subject to change, and when all the things they come in contact with also are subject to change, how can we have peace? Peace is to be obtained when we go to the source. As long as we identify these with these equipments, as long as I am totally identified with this body, mind, intellect, and whatever the actions we do through them, through these senses, we can't have the peace. Shankaracharya refers to this constantly recurring misunderstanding of mankind in the very opening statement of his Brahma Sutra Bhashya. What is the real I in you? And what is objective to you? You think the world is objective and the subjective I is your body and mind. But the body and mind and intellect are as objective to you, the real I, the real personality in you, as the world outside. So locate that personality and know it. When you know it, that being non-changing and permanent, you will remain there unaffected by the pleasures and pains that the world may give you. Without knowing this, we think we are the body, mind, etc. When the very thing which is having pleasure or pain, that is the body and mind, are subject to change and are perishable, how can we have non-changing joy? Lord Krishna deals with this ignorance in us in the verse of the 3rd chapter of the Gita. Prakrutehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah ahankar vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. All actions are done by the modes of nature, but one who is deluded by egotism thinks, I am the doer, I have done everything, so I am playing so much important. So that ego plays tremendous role in our life. As long as we have become the slaves of ego, we should forget about real happiness or joy. We can never get it. Suppose you take the burden of somebody else upon yourself. Once you have taken the burden, you always feel worried over it. You are always concerned about it. Because you possess it, So you are concerned about it, you are attached to it, so your mind is sitting on it all the time. So good and bad actions are worked out by the qualities of nature, but a deluded person imagines that he is the doer. The real I, the witness, is the inner personality. It can never associate itself with the body, mind and intellect. But one in his ignorance has a feeling as though it is associating with body, mind and intellect, and so works in the world with this basic misunderstanding. All people in the world act because in their body, mind and intellect there are three gunas operating, namely sattva, rajas and tamas. These gunas do not and cannot operate in the witness, the perceiver, the spirit within, which is pure consciousness, unpolluted, untouched, untainted, free from any blemishes. The effect of the three gunas in the body, mind and intellect takes the form of terrible attachment. Attachment to worldly things, attachment to body, mind and intellect. Whenever you have success or failure in your worldly dealings, you will be affected by pain and pleasure. You will be constantly tossed about by success and failure. So what is happening is, the world is playing with your emotions as a monkey keeper plays with his monkey. As long as these three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, remain in us, we will remain thus and suffer the consequence of the actions on account of our being imprisoned by these three gunas. Even sattva guna binds us. The difference in the three gunas is their attachment to different things. It's very important for us to know these things if you want to have real peace. A tamasic person, his mind, he is sitting excessively on his body. He is attached excessively to his body. He lives only to satisfy his bodily passions and desires and so on. He is caught up in sleep, sloth and laziness. All these things are the offsprings of tamasic person. There is a rajasic person. He is attached to his body and mind. The tamasic man, he attaches himself to body. The rajasic person attaches himself to body and mind. He is always engaged in feverish activity because he thinks by these activities he can gain worldly benefits and derive joy from them. Thus he is tied down by his own activities. He himself is engaging in intense activity, and then he says, well, morning to night I am so busy, I have no time to think of anything else. Where is time for me to think of God? Where is time to meditate? I have to run after the job. Why is running after? Not for without any benefit, because he is being rewarded by enormous amount of money, so he is engaged. A sattvic person, what about he? He is attached to his intellect more than to his body or mind. He is caught up by his attachment to his intellectual accomplishments. But one thing we must know, that attachment is attachment, whether it is sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. So this sattvic person derives joy from reading books on philosophy and the higher sciences of life, keep on analyzing them, so on and so forth. The sattvic person is as much bound as a rajasic or tamasic one. So one must transcend even the sattva guna if one aims at liberation. That's why the Vedanta says, read me, understand me, and then throw me away. That is, realize, actualize by practicing sadhana what you have studied. That is the meaning of Shravan Manan Nididhyasana. We hear what is good, then we keep on thinking and thinking about what we have heard, and then we meditate upon and get the best result out of what we have read, what we have learnt. So not much of intellectual eminence is required for attaining liberation. Just the knowledge that there is a non-decaying, undying principle in us which is not affected by pleasure or pain, and which is of the nature of pure consciousness, pure bliss, is enough for many people of ordinary intellect to turn inwards and realize the spirit. You might have studied all these holy scriptures, still you will be as much disgruntled and discontented as any other man of the world who has not even heard of the holy scriptures, if you remain in theory itself without practicing it. So when you read it, when you understand the things, when you assimilate them, make these spiritual ideas part and parcel of your life, practicing the instructions is very important to have the real benefit. Thus, operated by these gunas, one identifies oneself with body, mind and intellect. This ignorance which makes him think that his real personality, the real I, is associating itself with his body, mind and intellect, keeps him bound in the unreal things of the world. He cannot get out of them. This ignorance creates in him the egoistic attitude. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. He takes pride. I did this, I did that. This is mine, that is mine, etc. So constantly harping on what all he has done and what all he possesses, he meets his end, namely death. Lord Krishna says, Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartantairi gatva nasajjate. That is, those who know the truth, that the dispositions of nature and the actions springing from them are distinct from Atman, from the spirit, do not get themselves attached. Understanding that it is not the spirit but the dispositions of nature as organs that settle on the respective objects, which too are products of the same dispositions. So the knower of truth is one who knows that the non-changing principle underlying the changing phenomenon of the external world and the principle underlying the changing phenomenon of this body, mind and intellect are one and the same. Such a person is called Tattvajnani, a man of wisdom, man of knowledge. He, having come to know that there is such a non-changing principle in himself, must leave the ever-changing realms of body, mind and intellect and remain aloof in the inner personality. He knows that the gunas operate in the body, mind and intellect realm and that he is beyond them, that they do not affect his real personality in the least. So, he develops detached attitude. He is not bound by the actions of his body, mind and intellect. He disconnects himself. Such a person, in the course of his dealings, he may have to display all sorts of emotions and reactions. He may even have to fight with the people. But in all this, though he puts on a mask of anger in order to carry on the activities in the world, inwardly he is serene. Even when he is acting, he stands apart and looks at his own actions as ordinary people look at others' actions. It is possible for us to develop this attitude and frame of mind. We have to develop. In Karma Yoga, we cultivate samabhava and do not let the world react on us. But when we develop witness attitude, there is no question of the world reacting on you at all, because we are entirely away from the realm of body, mind and intellect, where the world can react. We are just observing, not taking part in the worldly dealings of the body, mind and intellect. Prakriteer gunasammudaha sajjante gunakarmasu tana krishna vido mandan krishna vinna vichalayet. People who are deluded by the gunas of nature attach themselves to the actions that those gunas prompt. Nevertheless, the knower of truth should not unsettle the minds of the ignorant. They should be gradually made to realize their folly. That means the knower of truth, he has understood the importance of realizing his own witness, but all people might not have come to that standard. So the person, the teacher, should try to lead those people in a gradual way to this high state of non-attachment. How we should conduct our activities in the life, at the same time we must learn how to be non-attached and engaging ourselves in performing duties which would enable us to purify ourselves. So, gradually we should learn the value of being non-attached. Being non-attached means not that we should be indifferent, but we should be very efficient in our doing the things. At the same time, we are peaceful because the whole thing we dedicate to the Paramatma, the Supreme God. Everything is done as the worship. Whatever the activities we do, if you consider them as the worship of God, then these very actions, instead of binding you, make the way for liberation. So people who are not able to dissociate their true personalities from the body, mind, intellect realm, and to stand apart and witness their actions, they become attached to their actions, which are actually born out of their gunas. Thus, they are caught by sukha and dukkha, pleasure and pain, resulting from success or failure of their actions. No one else is responsible for one's pain or happiness. Each one is responsible for his own actions. The knower of truth knows all the secrets concerning the perceiver and the perceived. He knows that his body, his mind and intellect are as objective to him as the world. So what is that is causing restlessness? It is our excessive attachment to the world. That is the reason of problems and frustrations in life. So they point out to us these difficulties, these problems. They teach us a lesson to learn to be non-attached, to learn to take the witness stand, be witness to everything in the outside world as well as to anything that emanates out of one's body, mind and intellect. So we should work in this world as a karma yogi and cultivate samabhava, not to be disturbed by the things of the world. So Lord Krishna says the technique of doing duties in the world, which paves the way for liberation. Once we get liberation, we are getting real peace and bliss. Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasa adhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. Why do you bother yourself in this life? Change your mode of life. Give proper directions to your life. It is true, whoever is born in this world must engage himself in some type of activity. Lord Krishna says even he himself works very hard every moment. If he stops working even for a moment, the whole world will crash. So working itself is not bad, but how do you work? That is important. So Lord Krishna tells here, offer all your activities to me, to the divine. Fix your mind on the divine spirit. That will take care of the things. Then you will be able to get rid of egoism. With this attitude, fight free from mental fever. Fight means we have to fight the forces of evil in this world. So what generally happens, if you analyze the things, desire will lead to regret and sorrow because you are not able to satisfy the desire. So you will know the result of it sooner or later. So we should never think that we can have permanent happiness from the things of the world. That means we should learn that we should not give way to desire and suffer the consequences. Let us not become the slave of the desires. Let us not run after the desires. That's the way. We should be free from the pricks of desires. When we identify ourselves with the inner perceiver, we will have no more the my and mine attitude. With this attitude, with this feeling, holding on to witness attitude, we should work without identifying ourselves with body, mind, intellect and ego. We should always be aware of our witness. So here the Lord says, Yudhyasva vigata jvaraha, fight free from mental fever. Fight means we should carry on our work in this world. Without fever means without any tension. Jvara, that is the fever we suffer from when we associate ourselves with the body, with the mind and intellect, and think that we can get joy from the external world. So if anything we do, we are impatient to know the result, and this association of ourselves with the result is to be given up, or else the quality of work will suffer. So with Vedantic knowledge, we should cure ourselves of this fever and work on without being pulled down by it. We should be upright mentally, morally and intellectually, and work on in the world as Lord Krishna has instructed. The term Yudhyasva here, fight, Lord Krishna says, it refers to the battle of life, our day-to-day fight in the world. It's a constant fight. As long as we live in this world, so long we have to fight on. Fight will stop only when we leave the body. And one point is certain, that we should know life in this world can never be perfect. It's a relative life in which we come in contact with so many things over which we have no control. How can we have peace if we depend on this world? Because the world is constantly changing. So it can't give you real happiness. So we should turn within and reach the source of all happiness, source of all peace. If the world teaches us to turn within and become an introvert, the world and life would have served their purpose. For turning within yourself, it doesn't matter where you are, Vedanta helps a person to become perfect Lord Krishna tells again in the verse, Ye me matamidam nityamanutishthanti manavaha shraddhavanto anasuyanto muchyante tevi karmabhihi. Those who have got full of faith, free from jealousy, they ever follow the teachings of Lord Krishna, and they are released from the bad effect of the works. So anybody is qualified to practice this teaching of Lord Krishna. Of course, we all desire to evolve, but the pull of the senses and the objects is so much we fall below the standard. After giving way to the emotions, the things of the world, we begin to regret our actions. We feel regret. On second thought, we really begin to know why I am suffering this way. Why these problems are creating so much unrest in me. When a person feels such regret, he can derive benefit and learn a lesson from it. So when that introspection comes, when you feel, oh God, why did I do that? I did a mistake. I ought not to have done that. If you are thinking that way, you are actually having something like Sakshi Bhav, that is witness attitude. Because you are viewing your own actions as a witness. That's why you are able to stand apart, view your actions and see whether it was right or wrong. So try to have this witnessing attitude throughout, without at the same time associating yourself with it, with the body and the mind. That part of regret, where you stand as a witness, must be prolonged, and you must practice to be a witness of your actions, even when you are actually acting. Even when you are doing the things, you must see, you must always have that attitude, feeling, I am witnessing my actions. But that aspect of regret, where you feel sorry for your actions and curse yourself, must be discontinued. You must tell yourself, all right, the body, mind and intellect, all these have acted in a foolish manner. This must be a lesson to me. But it is no use my feeling ashamed or sorry for it. I must transcend these feelings. Improve right where you are and right now. We have relations with the outer world. When we come in contact with the objects of the external world, if you try to get joy from them, they must respond as we want them to respond. Otherwise, we will feel disappointed. So they must have the capacity to respond. Even if they have this capacity, the circumstances must be suitable for them to respond, which is often not the case. So, we find there is many a slip between the cup and the lip. And man faces disappointments and pains at every turn. So what is to be done? Do not be conditioned by the world. That's a very important point. Don't be conditioned by the world. Let it not affect you. Outlive it, even while living right in the midst of it. They go away from you at the appointed time. Things come and go. It will not stay with you a second longer in spite of your attachment. So, you have no control over the things that happen in the world. So the best way is to live in the world with unattachment and do the work that is yours as a karma yogi. Whatever the job you are doing, whatever the work you are engaged in, offer it to God and do it. By engaging yourself that way, you will be able to purify your mind. When all the impurities are removed from the mind, mind becomes clear and clean, then only you will be able to enjoy the real peace. As long as the mind is running after the terrible attractions of the world, how can you have peace? Whatever joy that we get in this world on account of identifying ourselves with the things of this world, even the happiness we get, it's always having some kind of strain on us. It doesn't give you peaceful happiness. That happiness is always followed by some kind of disappointment, and all sorts of negative effects are there in the happiness which we get in this world on account of so many factors. So, Lord Krishna tells, develop the attitude of witness. As long as you are in this world, carry on the activities without getting disturbed, keeping the mind always on a high spiritual ideal, and trying to remove the reasons responsible for causing problems, and trying to give corrections to our way of life, practicing the spiritual instructions given by Krishna steadfastly, devoting part of our time to spiritual disciplines, not allowing any more thoughts which might cause unpleasantness into our mind. This moment onwards, we will be careful about whatever we do through our senses. Whatever is done in the past, it's all done. We can't do anything about it. Whatever is to be done in this present context, we have got full control over it. We can do it or undo it. If we have to do it carefully, watchfully, with all alertness, and then you will be able to discharge the duties in a proper way. By conducting yourself that way, you will be able to control your future course of life. But the real peace and joy is to be obtained only when you dissociate yourself with all these external things. It's all a drama. The whole world is a drama. Game. We are all playing. In game, you will have sometimes success, sometimes failure, everything will come. So every failure is a stepping stone to success. Whatever the difficulties that may come in your life, they come only to strengthen your mind. Learn the lesson out of the every difficulty that you get in the life. Then you will be able to be joyful even in that worst scenario. So, as Sri Ramakrishna tells, the fish lives in the marshy soil, but its body is not tainted by it. In the same way, we should live in this world, but we should not be affected by the worldliness. That is, Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. There is a particular type of fruit we call in India, it's called jackfruit. I don't know what the name they call in America. It has got lot of milk inside, it's very sticky. So if you have to cut open that fruit, you have to smear the hand with oil. Then you cut open all the fruit, they come out easily, and you can enjoy the fruit nicely afterwards. But without smearing your hand with oil, if you try to open the fruit, your hands get stuck up. You will not be able to remove the fruit at all. In the same way, have devotion, have faith in the presence of God, rely upon Him, surrender yourself completely to Him. Instead of identifying yourself with this world, identify yourself with the Paramatman. With this attitude, if you live in this world, you will be able to sail through without any difficulty. Otherwise, you will be stuck up by the worldliness. Very difficult to get out of it. So that is the thing. So Lord Krishna's teachings are very clear, sublime, practical. Only we should act upon. Lord has given so much freedom to us to do whatever we want. So that freedom is with us. So why not we use that freedom in a proper way and make our life purposeful. So with these few words, I conclude my talk. Thank you all. I am happy to inform you that we had a very beautiful function in Chicago at the Art Institute. This was long awaited, that is in memory of Swami Vivekananda. The plaque was installed. It was a historic event and a momentous event. About 400 to 500 people had gathered there. The hall was full even though it was a weekday, and all dignitaries from various parts of the world had come. different consul generals of different countries participated. Ambassador of India, Mrs. Shankar Ray, also came, and the director of the Art Institute, he unveiled the plaque. The importance is, Art Institute was the place where Vivekananda addressed the Parliament of Religions 100 years back. That is 1893. We celebrated the centenary. We celebrated Parliament of Religions centenary in the year 1993. Now today this is 1995. 102 years passed. Anyway, at least now we could install this so that people would know how it is very significant and how it is very sacred, that place. That is the place where Vivekananda came and gave the message of Vedanta. The whole America was awakened to spiritual ideas by Swami Vivekananda. So the insertion on the plate is like this. On this site between September 11 and 27, 1893, Swami Vivekananda, the first Hindu monk from India to teach Vedanta in America, addressed the world's Parliament of Religions, held in conjunction with the world's Columbian Exposition. His unprecedented success opened the way for the dialogue between Eastern and Western religions. We are happy that after 102 years, Swami Vivekananda's historic participation in the Parliament of Religions has been officially commemorated. And this news has come in all the leading newspapers, and it has come in TV also. And we are all happy about it. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. May the Divine Supreme Spirit protect us. May He nourish us. May we work in harmony with great vigor. May our study be illuminating and fruitful. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.